When I was younger, I used to think that art was either good or bad, fully criticizing artwork based on my own subjective whim. I was the emperor of art! Like a child taking a bite out of a new food and scoffing at it and saying that pizza and chicken tendies are the only way to go. No, it wasn't that bad, but I did put a lot of stock into the initial appeal of the artwork, never swiping right on those unique faces. I believed that the better the art was, the more impactful its epic moments would be. What an idiot! What an idiot! What an idiot I was! What an idiot I was! Well, that's stupid. To be fair, that isn't wrong. Incredible artists have a way of making those impactful moments hit really hard. And you knew they could because they could make the mundane appealing. But comics aren't just single pieces of art. There are a lot of them shoved together to make a bigger story. Good art can't fix a bad story. And a good story can't fix bad art. Or so I thought! You see, the more comics that I've read, and the more I've thought about the interplay between story and art, the more I realize it's not as simple as that. Bad art can actually be good art. And depending on the impact of the story, it can even be great art. Of course, there's the subjective view of art. The more you read something, the more interesting it can seem to become. You get used to it, it's a little bit more appealing. Kingdom, Ping Pong, JoJo, the new JJK art style, they can all be off-putting at the beginning, but the more you read them, the more you can really fall in love with them. It's just like trying new foods, and you might not like it at first, but the more you try it, you can like it. You can like it, you picky eater. Try the food more. And you can even begin to appreciate it just because it tastes different or looks different. We're talking about comics, not food, you picky eater. And while the subjective view of art is an important and necessary aspect, that's not what I'm really going to focus on today. What I want to focus on is the relative quality of artwork, the relationship that art has with itself. Because comics aren't just single images. They're hundreds, if not thousands of them, all put together, all working together to draw the reader into the story experience. And one of the most powerful tools an artist has is relative quality contrast. I think it'd be easiest to explain with some examples. Okay. One is probably the easiest and most readily used example. Mob Psycho is by no means an immaculately well-drawn comic, but the story is so engaging that it becomes easy to get lost in the style and to eventually be endeared to it. To sympathize with Mob and laugh along with the humor, you start thinking, hey, this actually isn't so bad. Then, when the moment is right, one will stop pulling the punches and really focus in on rendering an image more than usual, and all of a sudden, you're thinking, wow, this page was great. But if I just saw it in isolation, I don't think my mind would ever have thought that. Interesting how that works out. Flipping the script, however, even artists like Miura can use relative quality contrast. It's difficult for a style that's already detailed to add even more, but he could find a way to do it. Conversely, he could downplay the style to have an opposite reaction than what we've already talked about. In both cases, his quality was relative to what was needed at the moment. Togashi does this all the time with Hunter x Hunter, quickly changing styles to land different emotional beats. But the quality of each drawing is relative to its specific usage. You wouldn't want him drawing this way for every panel, but it works here. Same with Oda. I mean, he's got a light and cartoony style, but when he needs to ramp it up, he can. But it's not something the reader would need, or frankly want, in most panels. Whatever style you've gotten used to, the artist at a moment's notice is able to use contrast to deliver a heightened emotion. And as long as you've gotten used to the baseline, then adding a little extra juice is going to have a crazy impact. That's why this can have the same emotional impact as this. Maybe not in isolation, like you're seeing it now, but when you're reading a story and get lost in the moment, you'll understand. I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's just one of those things that makes comics kind of unique, because you can sometimes look at an individual image and be like, wow, that looks terrible. But in a comic, that same terrible image could look incredible if it's framed the right way. And I think that's so fascinating. It's not that artists shouldn't strive to improve their craft. That's not what I'm saying. It's still the best way to get readers to want to pick up a book and turn the first page. But I just think it's a pretty interesting realization that no matter what the style of art is, whatever that may be, art can still be impactful. And even if it's bad, it can be good. And sometimes great. Also, while we're here, do you read comics or manga? I made a comic book. Buy my book. It's good. Do whatever you want.